Welcome to Joe Garage. Today is Thursday, September 30th. I think it's the end of the month, right? I think that's the end of the month. So October is tomorrow, right? June, July, August. Yeah. So fall is on its way, or should be here, right? We've already passed the solstice, right? And I'm sure they're gonna have the when we have a time change, sometime in November, I think. Which we've talked about this before in the past. Let's just get rid of the whole time change thing. Just leave it alone. Don't mess with it. But that'll be coming up soon. Of course, what does that mean? Well, it means shorter daylight or shorter days. You know, the days are all 24 hours, but it means shorter time in daylight. We all know that. You know, there are tilts, time changes, you know, seasons change. It's all good. It's all good. It's all part of the life cycle. And, you know, I look forward to fall getting here. And, you know, summers are okay. It gets hot. You can go to the beach and go to the lake and do things. But when the temperature starts to drop, I start feeling better. I think we all kind of have gotten that way. And, you know, I saw a quote the other day that I thought was pretty cool. I'm going to share that with you. And this is kind of a, not verbatim, you know, I'm kind of copying what they said. But they said, we all reach an age or a certain age where we wake up in the morning and we feel tired. We still feel tired. And they said, and then that never goes away. And, you know, you think about that. As we get older, you know, of course, time goes on, life goes on. Our metabolisms change, our dietary needs change, our let's say level of fitness changes, because I know I'm going through that as well. But it all kind of changes, and eventually, you know, I was getting up when I was working at my regular job. I was getting up at 4:45, 10:05 every day, you know, and now I get up at 7. You know, get up, take the dogs out, have some coffee, maybe have a piece of pie, and just get my day kind of moving. Whereas before it was, oh, I got to get up and go. I got to get to work. So things change along with that as well. But yeah, it's I'm realizing now. Of course, y'all probably know I'm now 54. So you know, I'm well past that midlife, let's say, of time. You know, we all have a certain number of years here, and I'd expect to live 100 years. I know that. I don't want to live that long, but the you know, time catches up to us and we all start to fall apart. And I'm finding that more and more. You know, I put my time in the military, just life, raising kids, working on this, working on that, abusing ourselves all this time. And I think that burns the fuse, you know, burns the wick. And then eventually it's like, do I really want to change the oil today? Which is what I had to do today. My daughter is out of town. Our daughter is out of town. And so she left her vehicle here. And while it was here, Dad's changing the oil and taking care of a car, making sure it's running good. But anyway, welcome to the live stream. You'll see that occasionally the stream may get fuzzy, or I may get fuzzy, or the audio may, I don't know. I still have trouble with the internet here and trying to keep it going. But if it does kind of get fuzzy, just hang in there. Usually it straightens itself out. So let's see who's here. Right off the top is Troy Justin. Good afternoon, Barry and Joe Duddy's Garage Gang. Glad you're here, Troy. Ricard is checking in from Sweden, from out of Gas Garage. Hello, Ricard. Ish. Hello, Barry. Today I'm on time and eager to learn. Good. I'm glad you're here. Karsten checking in from Denmark. Hi, everyone. Hello, Barry. Hello. Ron Bell checking in from Northeast Tennessee. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Nick, hi, waiting for a nitrogen purge at work, so I'm here for a moment. Okay, good. And fall is my jam. Yeah, I mean, I like spring. I do. I like summer. I like going to the lake and, you know, all that stuff. But fall seems to be just more appealing, you know. Fly Poo is checking in. Glad you're here. Jason's garage. Yeah, I feel that for sure. Yeah. Yeah, we just reached a certain age. Nick, was it 18? Because mine was 18. Yeah. Well, no, I think mine was later in life, but yeah, I could see where you're coming from. Jason, but sometimes after working a long life and getting up early, you develop that internal alarm in some cases. Yes. Well, I can tell you this. In my case, I was working, I went from working 5 days a week to working, well, at my regular job, 5 days a week, from 6 to 2:30 to working weekend crew. And I would work 12-hour shifts, and I would work from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. Fine. Still getting up at the same time. But, part of my training, let's say when I was in the military, just life itself and stuff that I've done over the years, I do have an internal, let's say, alarm clock, and I also have that I don't know, ever vigilant type of sensation. Like if something's making noise somewhere or there's something going on outside, I'm up. I'm up and I'm checking it out. I want to know what's going on, and it's just one of those things that I guess you develop over time, but especially being in the military, you develop those kind of things. Nick, just found out today, the guy I'm working with is having a kid, and his parents are my age. First time I realized I could be a grandparent, my knees instantly exploded. Coworker, okay, is having a kid, and his parents are my age. Wow. 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 Yeah, that's very true. I'm a grandfather, the second time in December. With a daughter on the way, so looking forward to that. But yeah, I get it. Crush Rider, greetings from Southern Indiana. I'm breaking my brakes for some Joe Daddy. Good. Glad you're here. Paul Cordo, good evening. Jason's garage. The internet has been really patchy all over the world right now. I just looked it up this morning. I am Jason checking in from Canada. I'm glad you're here, Jason. And Seth Dex from Reno, Nevada. It's been a while. Okay. Yeah. It must have been because I don't even remember a Dex. So I don't know when the last time we were here. And Greg's Workshop is checking in from Australia. Glad you're here, Greg. Nick, I'm not even old, just turning 37. Well, Nick, let me give you some perspective on that too. I'll say my parents started early. Okay. My mom had my brother, I think she was 15. And then she had my two sisters, and then she had me 4 years later. And they were all like back to back to back. Well, my sister closest to me, she had a daughter when she was 18. So right in that zone. Yeah. I think my mom was 35 when she became a grandparent. I think that's what the numbers worked out to be. Yeah. So timing, hey, it can happen. And Nick, I'm assuming, I don't know. Maybe I'm assuming you don't have kids yet. I'm assuming. I don't know. But yeah, kids will shorten your life too. Charles in Pensacola, Florida, here on time. I tried to post 3 times, but no luck. Maybe 4th will work. I see you, Charles. You are here. So I'll give you a bell for being persistent. Being persistent. Nick, yeah, those are Amish and raised barns. Yeah. Yep. I don't know what's harder, raising barns or raising kids. I could use a good barn though. I've had my good kids. Anyway, okay. Robert is here. The Infernal Craftsman checking in from Texas. Glad you're here, Robert. Just to let you know, Robert, I put together the smoker. It's put together, and I did a burnout this morning. So I'm getting it ready. I don't know if I think I told you I was getting a small smoker. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to doing some ribs or something on it. My wife's ready to do hamburgers, which is fine. Whatever. Anyway, so today, what I did, besides taking care of a lot of different things around the house and pets and all that sort of thing, again, changed the oil in my daughter's car. I did don't know if it was yesterday that I put together the smoker, ran it, through a cycle to get the oil. There's like oil inside it, I had to burn all that oil out. So that was taken care of. In fact, I'll be posting a video on that on my workshop channel, because hey, people like to see stuff get put together. So I'm going to do a video on that. I don't know if you probably can't really tell a difference, but I had a company contact me, offering me some lights, some lights that I can mount in the garage, and they wanted me to do a video on it. So I did. The video is actually unlisted right now. It's not up. All right. Okay, Nick, we'll see you. Glad you were here. But the video, I made a video for these lights, and these are like 4-foot linkable lights. And so I made the video, and I'm waiting on them. They're supposed to give me some sort of a discount code. So if anybody wants to buy some of these lights, I can list that in the description box for the video, and then people can click on the link and do a discount of some sort. So I'm waiting on them to look at the video and say, yeah, it's good, let's go. So it's just unlisted right now. But I have that taken care of. What else was there? There was something along those lines. Oh, I have not. I started doing a video for the Welder. I think I talked about that on Monday, and ran into some issues. Contacted them. I was missing, actually, the issue. I think I showed it on Monday. Was the wires. The welder comes set up to run like 30 thousandths wire on the spools, the little rollers. And I wanted to run 25 and do some sheet metal welding just to try it out. And it doesn't come with that. It doesn't come with that. So I did I contacted them and I said, hey, look, what's the deal here? I can't run 25 thousandths wire. And they said, oh, it doesn't come with that. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to make note of that when I make my video. But they're sending me one. So just, sometimes we don't get everything we think we might get in a package. Just saying. So I have that that video to put together and get done. I did mention that I got the part I needed. I mentioned it on Monday. If y'all weren't, whoever wasn't here, I have this little shift rod that goes on in the console. This is the original one that broke. I got a new one from CJ Pony, CJ Pony, I believe. So I can get that in there so the light indicator will work. So I got to finish that. I have probably three videos that I need to edit down. One is about I was going to do a video on the front trim and the rear trim, but I'm going to make two separate videos because there's a lot of information and stuff that's going on. And so I make two different ones. I have another video putting in the seatbelts of the car, and I have kind of a time-lapse video of putting like all the interior in the car. So I might just put that together just so you can see the process of putting in the seats and the carpet and the sill plates and all that sort of thing. Might be, entertaining at the least. And then also I have a video to where I put the door together on the other side, on the passenger door, and I put the vapor barrier in along with the panel, the trim panel and the door handles and all that stuff. So anyway, I have several things I need to take care of and get done. I know. Let's see, Mike. Excellent Mustang you have. You did a great job on the car. I love the color. Mike watching from Cleveland, Ohio. Well, thank you, Mike. I have not seen Mike here before, so I'll give you a bell for that. Glad you're here. Jason's Garage, what kind of welder do you use? Well, currently I use a Lincoln 140T. That's my go-to welder. All my videos, Lincoln 140T, and I've had great luck with it. Haven't had really any issues at all. Welder contacted me and asked me if I would do like a kind of a assembly video unboxing and try out the welder, and so that's what I'm doing right now. It's a MiG 205 DS, and so far, it's working. It does what it's supposed to do, but it's a learning curve for me because it has digital readouts on it, and I'm used to using just knobs. So you have a setting, a speed of let's say 1 to 10, and a heat setting of A, B, C, D, E, whatever the numbers are or letters are. And this Yes Welder has digital functions, so you can like select the wire size you're using. You can there's a function on there that I've never seen before. Maybe because I don't do industrial type welding. There's a button there that says 2T, 4T, and apparently that's 2T is meant for doing like regular type of welding where you squeeze the trigger and run it, and 4T is meant for squeeze the trigger, it starts the bead, you can let go of the trigger, and then hit it again and it stops. I've never used one of that. Now, to me, that works better if you were using let's say you had some sort of a manufacturing plant type of thing where you would insert the welder, start the bead, and it would like automatically feed. That makes more sense to me. For me, I'm not going to sit there and turn it on and then try to control it. I want to hold on to that handle and make sure I've got a hand on it. So just something different. But the Yes Welder is a multi-function welder as well. So it'll do TIG, it'll do stick, it'll do MIG. But again, I'm doing kind of a test out on it. Apparently they've been selling a lot of these, but I'm just trying to. I wish in a way they would have sent this to me like before they ever went into production, because there's room for improvement for everything. I don't care who makes it. There's room for improvement. So as a end user, I would rather have one that they say, hey, here, test this out and let us know what works and what doesn't. I would love to be on that side of it, because now it's in production. I see room for improvement, and I doubt they're going to, look at what I offer. Just saying. I would rather do a test out on it. Robert, the better half is in Cleveland for a couple weeks, so I can fill the yard with Project Mustangs now. That sounds like a good plan. Karsten, I use 0.6 wire for welding work. Works better than 0.8 wire. Yeah. And I don't know what I think 0.6, because I did actually look it up, is 0.025, I believe, is the same size as 0.6. I believe. But yeah, thin wire is better for doing sheet metal for sure. Jason, I thought I would ask. I'm always asking people what brands they got and how they like them. Eventually I went to get a welder so I can learn to do my own work. Yeah. Well, like I said, the 140T, I've had good luck with it. I've been using that welder, gosh, well over 10 years, 12 years, maybe longer than that. Probably longer than that, actually. I think I got that welder. Somebody wanted to sell the welder. They actually came to our body shop and said, hey, I have this welder I don't use. I want to sell it. And I had literally that day or the day before, I had just bought a brand new welder because I had a Miller-Matic that died on me. And I went to like Lowe's or something and bought a Miller 140. And this guy came by and said, hey, I want to sell this thing. I looked at it. I said, what do you want for it? And I think he said $100. And it was brand new. It was like, it's like he never even used it. And I said, plopped him the money. I took the other one, boxed it back up and took it back to Lowe's, got my money back. And that was probably 2006. So gosh, that's been 15 years ago. And I've been using that thing like crazy. I mean, everything I've welded in this garage in the last 15 years has been that Lincoln 140T. So just saying, it's been a great Robert, there's a learning curve when you transform water to an inverter. The inverter ones don't act as fast and we're with our textile and sheet metal. That's one thing I'm learning, Robert. That is one thing I'm learning. I was looking at that. I tried to do some spot welds, and I was not very successful with it. Part of the problem though was I was using 30 thousandths wire on basically light sheet metal. I was able to do some spot welds, but Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be a fan of the inverter type. Just I think I'd rather stick with the transformer type. Troy, I use a Lincoln 140 MIG and love it. I also have the aluminum attachment, but I haven't used it yet. Yeah, I think I don't know if that's the difference between a 140 and 140T, because I know this thing had a spool gun or whatever for doing aluminum, and I've never tried it, never hooked it up, but I thought that's what the T meant, but I could be wrong. I was wrong once before. Anyway, so a couple other things I have going on. I was working, trying to do little things here and there while I'm changing oil in my daughter's car and stuff like that. I got into the trunk of the Mustang and I vacuumed it out because I wanted to put the trunk mat in. So I have a question. If anybody can answer this, I'm sure somebody has an answer. Somebody can tell me. I put in the mat in the trunk, and there were two of these. What are these for? Anyone? I have no idea. I mean, they got some slits cut in them. So to me, it looks like it would go around the trunk of the bumper brace. But for what purpose? Because the mat already covers all that. So I don't know what these are supposed to do. They've got a uniform shape side to side, but I don't know what they're for. I don't know what they're for. Person that gets it right gets a bell. Let me know. Robert, I usually get my best results running around 17 volts and whatever wire speed works that day, but mine also has inductance adjustments, which helps a lot with varying penetration. Okay. Well, I will probably I mean, I don't look like I don't believe I'll be getting rid of the Lincoln, but I will have have the Miller the Yes Welder here because I have the plasma cutter too, and that thing works really great. So I'll probably sell my other plasma cutter, get it out the door, get some space in here. Yeah, the one from Harbor Freight, I think it's been fantastic. Nothing wrong with it. But if I have the one from Yes Welder, which is smaller and lighter and works just as well, then I don't really need two of those. Now the welders, my real rig is I have the Lincoln 140T. I also have a flux core welder right next to it on my stand. So yeah, again, I'm going to try to figure out what I can do with the S welder and what it'll best be used for. I don't know that I want to use it for sheet metal work, but we'll find out. Ray, possible hinges or over the filler neck. Yeah, I don't think so. Little. I mean, I don't know how these wouldn't cover the hinges. I mean, I don't see how that would work. You'd have to glue them to the hinges or something, but there's got to be a reason they left these two pieces or put these two pieces in there. There's got to be a reason. Like I said, it's got the little cutout there, and I cannot envision. I'm usually pretty good with this stuff. Like this fits in that hole type of thing, but the only thing that comes to mind is the cutout where the trunk braces or the bumper brace, because it runs at an angle, and I could see maybe you put it up on top of that. I don't know. Well, we'll get some more answers here in a minute. Greg, Barry, I use 0.6 for the car, then I use 0.9 for other work. Yep, or 0.06. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Greg. Robert, a little late. I might have bought that plasma cutter when I was there. Well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm sure I could sell it. I don't even know what they're going for anymore, but I don't have a use for it. I don't need two of them, unless I need to do some custom work on a convertible. Then I might do two at a time. make little pieces. Anyway, let's see. We have, now that's a new name. Ivan. I don't know how to say that. Moriera. I could say that one. Moriera. Ivan Ildo. Ivan Ildo Moriera. Hugs from Brazil, I guess, is what kind of hug Brazil. Okay. Glad you're here. I'll give you a bell because I've never seen that name before. Glad you're here. Ish. You may be correct. Bumper races make sense, but what do I know? Well, and that's what I'm saying. It like I said, it has a cutout, but where would you put it? Underneath the mat? Because the mat already has a cutout for the bumper braces. I just don't. It just doesn't make any sense. And then I'm also looking at the idea: do I need to like glue this thing in? You know, because I don't want to. But it looks like they cut it long where it comes up around the filler neck. You know, it has a circle with a slot, and it goes around the filler neck. But the back piece goes up onto the tail panel, so that doesn't make any sense. Almost like you need to trim it down to make it fit perfect. David, can't get enough of your videos. Working my 65 Mustang now. What is a good alternative to Clen all wax and grease remover? I'm in California, so of course it's not allowed. I've never heard of Clen. I know that what I've been using for wax and grease remover is a PPG product. I think it's DX101 is what I've been using. Now, whether I don't know what to tell you as far as I could call out some different names, but I don't know what's allowed in California. I don't know if you should have. I assume you have a paint supply store in your area. And if they have something on the shelf that's compatible, I don't know. Most of my stuff that I do when I'm doing prep work, honestly, I wipe down almost everything with Windex first. Some people say don't do that; it leaves a film. I've never had it cause a problem, but if you wipe it down, that's one thing. But then I don't know what's allowed out there. Okay, so Dave was saying acetone or isopropyl. Okay. I mean, I've used acetone for years in the aircraft industry, and it'll remove some stuff. Evaporates super fast. Acetone evaporates super fast. Isopropyl, I believe I've used that as well. I think I actually have a can of that here somewhere. But typically, when I try to use an actual wax and grease remover, again, I don't know what else is allowed out there. I do have a can. Let me just look quick and see what it is. So I know I have a can back here on the shelf. I think I have a can here on the shelf anyway. Yeah. Now I don't know. Again, this is PPG, Direct Omni MX190 wax and grease remover. I don't know what's in it and what your limitations are out in California. Just says wax and grease, doesn't tell me the contents. So you can try that. But otherwise, I probably don't have a great answer for you. But I will know that acetone will move just about, because they use acetone in fingernail polish remover. They tell you not to breathe. Anything with tone on the end of it, you're not supposed to breathe. Any kind of ketone, acetone, anything. And here they are using it on to remove fingernail polish. Dip your finger in this and just soak in it, and it'll remove fingernail polish. And how much of that is your body absorbing at the same time? Let's see. Troy, there's a video on CD website from someone track mat that said those pieces are for the brackets you place under the mat. Okay. See? That was my guess. That was my guess because of the cutout. Thank you, Troy. It still doesn't make sense, but I get it. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate that. Oh yeah, yeah. Good one, Jason. Mike, how did you start on a 64 GTA that I've owned for 47 years? I'll give you a bell for that. Second owner, bought with newspaper money when I was 15, retired now enjoying the time and memories. Thanks for the great contact. Awesome. That is awesome. I'm glad you're getting it. You're working on it. 67 GTA, that's cool. Or 66, sorry. 66 for GTA. Very cool. Very, very cool. You know, on Monday, I was talking about a couple things. Again, I'm trying to, I've got to do a better job of getting this space cleaned up, because one way or another, I have to get that 67 coupe here. So I'm trying to get, you know, get this finished, get the space organized, get stuff put away. All right. Fly poo has to go. All right. We'll see you. Oh, we got a Robert answer. Acetone is the best cleaner that is legal in California, but evaporates so fast it's hard to get all the dirt off. It is not a VOC, so it's legal for now. So there's an answer talking about acetone. Thank you, Robert. Anyway, I'm going to be, you know, I'm trying to get stuff cleaned up here in the shop, get rid of any excess boxes and junk, stuff I don't need around. Because the Mustang that's coming, it's in pieces. I mean, it's all apart. It's all apart. It doesn't even have the doors on it. The interior, everything is out of it. It's just a shell, and it's going to be a whole bunch of pieces and parts. So I have to kind of plan out getting it here and trying to keep things, you know, separated. But as I was talking about on Monday, I may put a poll on YouTube. Which would you prefer I start on, the basket case Camaro or the 67 coupe? So I may do that. I don't know yet. It depends on what other things come up. You know, because there's still some things I need to do to, I've mentioned this before, to get rid of or part ways with convertible car. And there's all kinds of steps to getting everything where I want it and be ready to go. Another thing I have to deal with is I have to fix my son's car that he gave back to me, his 2006 Mazda 3. It has an engine code on it that I have to figure out, get that fixed so I can sell that car. And I also wanted to do something with that little Honda that's sitting outside. I can't just keep it sitting here. I have to do something with it. So maybe I just roll it in here and get the finish up the Honda, you know, get it done. I don't know. Lots of options. Lots of options. Jay Cubbies. Hey, dude. Glad you're here. Jason. Barry, what would you do for a drivetrain in the basket case Camaro? Well, when I first started working on that car, the vision I had was to put an LS in it. I've got a 5.3 LS engine, 4L60 transmission sitting in the back of the shop. That was the plan. But odds are I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to finish that car. I want to do all the body work, get all the body straight, and then probably sell it. Let somebody else have all the fun of doing paint work and trim work and interior work and, you know, all the excitement with that. So I may just focus on putting the car back into a good rolling shell and passing it on. But if I were to finish it, the idea again was to put in LS and make it a good runner. Now, I also have, which I need to sell. So if anybody's looking for, I have a 427 sitting over there and a 454 that I don't need. I just don't need them. So if anybody's looking for one of those engines, by all means, let me know. Troy, don't forget to click the thumbs up. Yes, definitely. Thank you, Troy. And Jason, gotcha. Yes. Well, and that's the same way with the 67 Camaro, a Mustang. When I put it together, I'm going to convert it to a fastback. That's it. I'm not going to do I don't want to put an engine and transmission in it. I don't want to mess with all that. So let's see. Don, hello Barry, here late because I was welding the seat pans in the Betsy. Cool. Making good progress, Don. I watched your pedal video earlier today. So good job on that. Jason, what year are the big blocks? If I'm not mistaken, I think one of them is a 69, the other one is a 70 or 71, I believe. I know they're either late 60s or early 70s. The 454 is built, never been run. It was built for a drag car and never been run. The 427 was actually out of a drag boat, and it has a Hillborn fuel injection system in it, a vintage Hillborn fuel injection with the stacks and everything on it. It would be a great, cool, vintage engine to put in, I don't know, like a 55 Chevy or something with the stacks and all. It would just be really cool. But I don't have that, so not on my list. Anyway, but if somebody's interested in one of those big blocks, they could send me an email, and we can go from there. If somebody wants to get one. Robert is talking to Don and Jason. 4-bolt blocks. I believe they are. I'm pretty sure. I have not pulled the pans, but I'm pretty sure they're both 4-bolt blocks. Pretty sure. Let me see here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Ish sent me a link. He says it's old school GPS. Old school GPS. That would be really interesting. Let's pull this up. Someday roads will tell cars where to go. I know I can't really read that directly. Let me see if I can zoom that in. You'll be able to drive cross country without a road map and never get lost. Just leave the guiding to ERG5, the electronic route guidance system developed cooperatively by General Motors Research Laboratories and the Delco Radio Division. Here's how to work. Let's say you're living in Chicago and want to drive to Los Angeles. Just dial the destination code for Los Angeles on a special radio receiver panel in your car and start heading west. As you approach an intersection, antenna buried in the pavement signals your destination to roadside computer equipment. Quicker than a blink, the computer processes your destination information, signals back to your radio receiver, and the proper directions light up on the receiver panel. Man, I don't know what year that's from, but that car that it's in, I'm trying to zoom in on this. It looks like it's got to be early 70s, late 60s car. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Never seen anything like that. Just once again, I've sent you an email. Yes, got that. Robert, that 427 might also be a gear drive. That's possible. That is possible. I have not pulled. Like I said, it's got the Hillborn, everything on it. It's got a magneto distributor in it. It's a cool vintage piece. It's taking up space in my garage. I don't need it. Jason, the ad looks like it was made by a time traveler. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. Think about that being connected to the radio. It's almost like, you remember the old, I know there's a fascination with, some people have a fascination with those old, not really digital clocks, but they were sort of digital clocks. They had the flapper tabs, like it would say 1 o'clock and then the thing would drop over and it would say 2 o'clock. And then over here you'd have a 0 and 3 and it would turn into a 1, whatever. those are always kind of cool. I know when I was a kid, I had one of those clock radios, and that's what it had, is that, and those numbers would roll over and flap and flop. Picture that in one of these classic cars, you know. It'd be like an old computer system from the 60s where you'd have this, have one of those things spinning around, stop, give you a direction and heading. Now I know people that I don't know people, but I'm saying there are people who are into those old clocks. You know, they actually make a modern version of those where it has mechanical movement rather than digital, which is pretty cool. Jason, it is pretty bang on. Okay. Jason's Garage. Oh yeah, those. I know those clocks. I think my grandfather had one. He worked for the General Electric Canada. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just, and I remember watching like, I think it was even back in, you look at movies from the 60s and 70s where they had like the Greyhound bus station or whatever, or maybe even airport, and they would put up the destination and you would see that thing spinning, and like, and the numbers would, letters would flop over and drop out, whatever, and create a message board. I think that's really cool when you think about it. Barry or Greg says he's got to go. Good. I mean, not good, but I'm glad you were here, Greg. So we'll catch up with you later. Robert, I like those little flip clocks. Coolest ever was a massive one at the train station in Paris. Super noisy, but sounded cool. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you'd have these big, and every so often might change and make a sentence or whatever. You think about the technology of that day and how advanced that was, and now today, here we are with, a complete supercomputer in our hands, camera, radio, and with all kinds of apps and stuff. You could it's crazy when you think about what all we have packed into this in relation to all the stuff that we grew up with, tape players and CD players and GPS and all those things are now in this, little quarter-pound, whatever, chunk of plastic and metal. We've come a long way to just be sitting in front of computers. Anyway, so what else is going on out there? Anybody have anything going on that they want to talk about or mention or bring up? Any kind of questions? Ish. I remember that. We're old. Yeah. Yeah, we're old, all right. We are old. Anyway. Let's see. Mr. Scopacino. I have a 289 4-barrel headers. Can't remember the bore max for 289 small block. I think mine was done 60 over 95. I've heard of folks getting 400 horsepower out of a 289. Do you think I can, I guess, get 400 horsepower? I don't know if I can give you that answer. Dawn might be able to give you that answer. Dawn from Dawn's Manufacturing. I mean, I know they make stroker motors out of like the 302, right? I don't know if they can do the same thing with 289. I'm sure that there's better heads available and certain camshafts, but I couldn't tell you specifically if you can get that. And says, yes, can I get 400 horsepower? Yeah. Robert says, I could see 400 horse out of it, but not reliably. That is a problem. When you start pushing these numbers up, the stress loads increase. So, whatever's going to take all the load of the increased power has to be built to withstand that. So, I don't know. I think 400 might be kind of high on the scale. Now, there's other ways to do it. I mean, I don't know if you could. I wouldn't consider putting the turbo on it, but I'm just saying there's other things, superchargers and stuff like that. But still, you got to have a engine that can withstand all the extra pressure. Ricard, got my Mach 1 all back together again and have taken her for a few rides. Whoops, let me get my better bow. Good. That is good to hear, Ricard. I'm sure you're enjoying it. All that new front end on it and everything. I'm sure you're happy with it. I am sure you're happy with it. Mr. Scopacino, thanks, team. You're welcome. That's a good question, though. And that's not an easy question to answer. You know, just not an easy one to go, yeah, you could do that. Everything has its limitations. Everything. I've been looking around locally, trying to, you know, find another cruise in or something that I could take the car to. It's not looking real great. There's a few that are 25, 30 miles away, you know, but I have not, I haven't test driven this thing very far yet. I'm still kind of, you know, just doing little short trips to make sure everything's working and nothing's going to fall off. I'm still waiting on really one more piece. I've got to get the horn button. It hasn't arrived yet, but the horn button for this car, I don't know where it's at. I do have the center decal that's going to go in it, but I need the horn button itself. So that'll help finish it. Dawn, the Shelby's back in the day ran 385 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. I'm running 320, very reliable on the street. So thank you, Dawn. Good answer. Ricard, more than happy. Thank you again for all the great videos. They were a big help. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Whenever I'm seeing people get cars put together or resolving issues or, you know, figuring things out because of the videos I put out, that makes me, you know, want to participate more. And that's what I'm trying to do. Obviously, I'm trying to get more people interested in Patreon. Wherever I can get help from that, that's fantastic. That's why I'm trying to make a more detailed videos, you know, as I'm going forward, trying to put those on Patreon so that my patrons can get something for what they're putting in, you know. I think it's only fair. But anyway, that's coming. That's looking to get growing more on that side of things. Oh, here's another thing that I wanted to mention. I signed up for SEMA again. You know, I went in 2019. I signed up in 2020, and of course, 2020. You know, we all know nothing happened. Apparently, they're putting the show back on, and I signed up and I got my approval for my media credentials, so that, you know, I can do that. I've been trying to get another guy that, you know, wants to go with me, trying to get his approval, but it seems like it's been a stumbling block. I'm not sure exactly what I need to do to get him processed into the show. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to go or not. You know, I want to go, but I can't say for sure that I am going. With the way everything is right now, who knows? Who knows? But I'm sure it seems a blast. Dawn, the 289s in Australia road racing run over 400 horsepower, but they're spinning them 8,500 RPM. That is singing. That is some revs. Yeah. Yeah. I know when I was racing my dirt track car, my 65 Chevelle, I had a 350 that I built for it. And I had an old school builder work with me. I had a machine shop do the basic stuff, you know, board it and got my pistons and all that sort of thing. And I balanced everything myself. I went to my friend's place, builder, and he showed me how to balance the connecting rods. We balanced the pistons. Everything was balanced, and that was really key to getting this thing to rev to the moon. But another thing I did, and this is kind of sort of in the realm of cheating, you weren't allowed to have dome pistons. You could have flat top pistons, and that was it. Well, to get power out of this engine, I had the block decked or milled down to basically zero. I mean, the pistons were flush with the top of the block. I had Corvette double hump heads on it, with 202 valves, and I'm trying to remember what all the specs were, what the cam was. But anyway, I put shims for gaskets. I didn't use real head gaskets. I used shims to make the head gaskets sit on. And also what I did, again, this is where the cheating thing is. You couldn't run dome pistons, but they didn't tell you was you couldn't. They didn't say that you couldn't turn the pistons around. And I've done this, and people go, "What do you mean turn the pistons around?" Well, if a modern, I might say a modern engine, anything probably built in the last 50, 60 years, maybe even longer, the pistons are indexed. So I believe they'd have a little dot, they'd have maybe a little machined area or a little hole, not a hole, but like an indent in the piston. And then the pistons were put in the engine so that the dots all faced forward, right? So you had them all indexed to where they faced forward. And why did they do that? Does anybody know? I won't give you time to answer. I'll just tell you. It's because the wrist pin was offset. What I mean by the wrist pin was offset. Well, if you take a standard piston, right? Let's say you take a piston and you have a center hole for the wrist pin, right? Let me get my hand right there. Okay. You have a hole for the wrist pin. That is not dead center. They will not put them in dead center. The wrist pin is offset slightly to, I believe, the upper side. Let me make sure I get this right in my head. Yeah, I believe they're offset slightly to the upper side. And they did that because, as Robert says, rattle. So if you had a dead center, the piston or piston slap, yes, thank you, Don. The piston would actually kind of flop back and forth in the cylinder because it was dead center. It didn't have anything to keep tension on it, and it would actually kind of slap in there. So when they offset it, it kept pressure to one side of the piston, and so it stayed in that plane, right? Well, a way to cheat the system in racing, if you're willing to take the chance, is you take that piston and you turn it around, okay? Now that wrist pin center is not offset to the high side, it's offset to the low side. What does that mean? Well, it means you actually get a little tiny bit of compression out of it, a little more compression. It's true, because when that wrist pin is to the high side, that piston can only it's giving up a certain length. When you put it to the low, you turn it around and you put it to the low side, it actually increases the length slightly because of the offset. I did that. I heard some old timer telling me about that, and I tried it in my stock car, and it worked. Now I had that engine was so, that was a good engine. That was a super good engine. If you know what core shift is. Anybody know what core shift is? If you're building an engine, whenever they cast the engines in sand, basically in sand, they cast them, and then the casting material gets knocked away. Well, sometimes the engine is not dead center in the cast. It could be offset slightly left or right. So if you're looking at an engine and you're considering whether you want to build it, right? I know I'm giving you some different information here today, but if you're looking at building an engine and you're concerned with how much life it has in it, if you look at the camshaft, right? If you look at the bore for the camshaft where it slides into the engine, and you see there's a boss area, it'll be a flattened area that is cast, so it's kind of like raised out slightly. If you look at that, and the cutout or the hole for the camshaft is dead center in that raised area, that has like basically zero core shift. If the camshaft is offset slightly left or right or whatever, you can see it. It'll look like, you have your main hole, and then you have the casting area behind it is offset. Well, what does that mean overall? Well, if you have a standard bore engine, because everything is based off that crankshaft and camshaft location, no matter what, you have to have those in line, and then everything connects to it. So picture it in a bigger scale. If you have that camshaft slightly offset, well, everything is offset to one side. That means your cylinder walls are actually thinner on one side, let's say to the outside, than the other side, where it's going to be now shifted slightly in. So that's what core shift means. It means it's offset from the casting. Well, the engine I had was like 0 core shift. That thing was fantastic. It was also a high nickel block, which is a better block for that sort of, for racing and stuff. You want a high nickel block. So all of the stuff I did to it, all the balancing, everything, that engine would spin up. And I know we were getting between probably 7,000 and 8,000 RPM easily out of that small block. And that thing would rev to the moon, and it would rev fast. It would rev super fast. Now I didn't want to, when I traded off my 55, that engine that was in my stock car was in the 55 Chevy. And I tried to talk him into letting me put a different engine in. He said, no, I want that engine. He kind of knew what was up with that engine. So reluctantly, I gave up that 350. Well, it was bored over. It was probably technically a 355. That engine, I'm going to say, easily made 400 horsepower. And like I said, it would rev. Oh, it just sounded fantastic. So anyway, that's long ago. I don't race anymore, but I just love that engine because it was such a fun build. Don says increases rod angularity. Yeah, talking about the offset piston. And Dawn, I chose heads for Betsy with 0 core shift, better flow, and greater meat for porting. Yes. All that stuff is important. And you don't realize it. Like whenever you're even doing, I did some porting on my heads, but like even the intake manifold to the heads, you can have core shift, you can have it offset to where things just don't match up. What does that mean? Well, you could take your gasket and put the, make a paper gasket, let's say, or you can do a variety of things. You can take a little coat of oil, whatever, but you can push it in, put your intake on, and lift it off, and you can see where the intake is offset from the gasket, because you want smooth airflow. I mean, you need a little turbulence, but you want airflow. So if you have your intake runner, coming out, and let's say whatever your opening is, it's hard for me to draw up a good image of this, but if you have an opening that should be kind of a long rectangle, right, with curved ends. Well, if your gasket is interfering with the airflow, that's creating like a twisty turbulence going in. That affects power too. So that's why people will port match. They'll sit there and take a pencil grinder or whatever kind of grinder you want, stones, whatever, and they will match first the gasket to the they'll match it to the heads. Let's say that, make sure the gasket and the heads match each other, and then they also match the intake to the gasket. You want everything to be smooth. Even though you have a gasket involved, you don't want edges sticking out and catching and creating weird turbulence on your gasket, on your airflow. So there's all kinds of things that come into play. It's not hard to build an engine, but if you want to build a racing style engine or something that's going to really scream, there's a lot of little things that need to be addressed and taken care of. And you don't just buy a set of trick flow heads. Yeah, they're great. Put them on. But you need to also follow up with your gaskets and everything else to make sure everything is working properly. Marty, I don't know what that says. Something of Germany. I'm guessing. I'm not going to even try to say that because I don't know what that means. But welcome, Marty. Glad you're here. Ish, core shift, high nickel block. I'm learning. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you look at the 2-bolt main, the 4-bolt main, all that sort of thing that come into play for more power and longevity. Don, bore scopes these days are very revealing. Good point, Don. Good point. You know, there's all kinds of things that come into play, like I said, when you're building a race engine. Bob, I always had to move the dowel pin holes on our small block 400 motors to center the gasket rings on the bore on one side of the motor due to shifts in the casting and machining. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's all part of it. And that's exactly right. You know? Yeah. And that would be, I mean, move the dowel pin holes. So that would be, I mean, I would be hesitant myself because I don't have the machining equipment for that. But I understand what you're saying, and that does make sense. Because even that gasket, you want everything lined up, spot on, dead center. But, you know, we're also talking about engines built in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and maybe even 90s. Hopefully, you know, the more modern stuff is tighter tolerance. But I don't know. I haven't kept up with all of that. I think my voice is starting to go. I've had a good ramble going on there, talking about engines and stuff. Let's see. Marty, does a conversion from automatic to manual transmission top loader 4-speed make sense? It just depends on what you're doing. Just depends what you're doing. I'm not against it. You know, if you want to have a 4-speed car, go ahead. You know, if it's convenient for you. But I have not done it myself. But I like the idea. I mean, it's always fun to have a 4-speed or a 5-speed. Robert, I like the 400s, but most people didn't know to drill the steam holes when using non-400 heads. Yep. That was always a big problem with that configuration. Bob, I just modified the hole in the gasket. Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I don't know. I was thinking when I was reading that, I was thinking, wait a minute. Yeah, that makes sense. Why would you do it the other way? I'm reading too much and going too fast. Ray, when I worked for an engine company in Florida, on our races, we would angle cut the heads so there was almost no water passage on the header side, making it from 23 degree to 18 degree. We won 16 of 32 races. Cool. That is cool. You know, what's crazy is, you know, I had this really hopped up engine, and we had to run a 2-barrel carburetor. You know, I was racing dirt track, and everybody knows there are people that cheat. You know, like really, really, really cheat the system. We had a guy in my division, and I was running what they call, you know, bomber division. Basically a full-bodied car. You had weight jacks in the car so you could adjust it and stuff like that. Full cage, all that. But it was a 65 Chevelle, and it had, you know, my 355 with a 3-speed behind it, 600 gear in the rear end. And, you know, the car was pretty fast. The thing is, you know, I was out there running with other cars that were comparable to mine, and we would all be pretty much, you know, the same. But there's like one guy, and you guarantee he's cheating, because if he can make half a lap on the field every lap, something ain't right. I'll tell you that up front. This guy would run the car, and all of a sudden he would just stomp the gas and pull away from the pack and gain about half a lap every lap. You're like, well, surely they know this guy is cheating, because everybody else, you know, we're all running about the same kind of, you know, car, going a similar speed, and one guy out of 18 cars is suddenly half a lap faster every lap on a 3/8 oval. Something ain't right. In fact, I even went one race. I decided I'm going to just, you know what? I don't care. I pulled off that 2-barrel and I put on a 4-barrel on that car. And I wanted to see what happens. I still couldn't keep up with that guy. So whatever he was doing, there was no way that car was legal. Robert, the better half is watching, so no mentioning the project car I just had delivered. Okay. Deal, Robert. I won't talk about that. Jerry Hayberry, thanks for the chat. Or Jason's brother, Hayberry, thanks for the chat. Much appreciated. Glad you're here. Oh, you gents in there, have a good evening, Yeah. Thank you, Jason. And on nitrous. Yeah, I'm telling you, long story behind that car, that family, and the guy actually tried to kill me on the racetrack. He tried to hurt me bad. Long story behind that, but anyway, he's part of the reasons why I quit racing altogether. Jerry, or nitro fuel. Yeah. I mean, you could. I don't know how you could do it. Honestly, we had cars out there running, late models that were fast as could be, and this guy was out there turning almost the same speed as late models. It's like, or semi-lates. It's like, what? Surely they have to know this guy is cheating. Surely. Mr. Scopacini must have had 2 4-barrel double pumpers on that track. I don't know what he had, but man, that car, I'm telling you, it was ridiculous. It's like, well, why are we even out here? Why are we even out here? Okay. Well, I can feel my voice is getting kind of rough. So I'm going to have to call it a day. It's been fun. We went an hour and 8 minutes. We've got 38 people still watching, which is fantastic. I will be back on Monday night at 7, barring any kind of illness or anything. Stuff's going around, and my wife has been sick. She's doing better. My grandson has been sick. He's been doing better. So, I think you have to pass it on to somebody before you get rid of it, right? So I'm maybe next in the line. But anyway, thank you all for being here, and I'll be back on Monday, like I said. And I'll get a video put together for tomorrow. I'm not sure which one it'll be just yet. Maybe the seatbelts, maybe the interior, something. I'll have something together. But anyway, until next time, take care of yourselves. See you.